everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show, partnered with Robert Miller & Son Furniture on the Kokomo Post. My name is Drew Larison. This is MTM. Mr. Mayor, how the heck are you?
Doing great, man. What a great week last week and fun-filled weekend. Happy belated Mother's Day to all you wonderful mothers and surrogate mothers and moms that are called moms or have stepped into the position or role as mom, all encompassing. So especially to you, Mrs. Larison.
Well, hey, thanks so much.
Happy Mother's Day.
Hey, thank you so much. You are like legally required by marriage to say that. But,
That's not true.
But Mr. Mayor, you are not. So
There's no law that says that.
That's true. No, we had a great Mother's Day. It was so fun.
Good.
I'm glad you did.
We did.
Yeah. So glad to be back in the city of Kokomo. I was gone last week.
Yeah.
I missed some wonderful weather here, apparently. So that was...
Yeah, and it's continued
because it wasn't
now.
great when I left, but it's good now. So that's good to see. The sun was out, feeling good. How was your weekend?
Full. Very full. So Saturday, the rain because the weather, there was a chance of rain supposedly all weekend, but we had a little bit in the morning and a splash in the afternoon. But other than that, it was perfect. I mean, it was great. But I met the Abate of Indiana riders on the square just before noon on their motorcycle safety and awareness ride, their annual ride, and they I think visit 5 counties on that Saturday. And so met with them and wished them well and issued a proclamation reminding all citizens of Kokomo to be on the lookout, look twice, save a life.
I saw those,
So, it was always great seeing Brett and company when they roll through. Checked out the Kokomo Area Career Center. They had a big car show on Saturday, and it was huge. They had doubled the amount of cars in this year's show and had cornhole tournaments, and the students put together an incredible grand prize for the show winner. They took a Chevrolet tailgate and made a bench out of it. Super cool. And then the culinary arts students were there running a food cart at the concession stand. All I can say is bacon wrapped hot dogs.
That's American summer.
Oh my gosh. So kudos to the culinary students for feeding me one of their exquisite bacon wrapped hot dogs.
Sounds amazing.
Oh, it was great.
I'm into that.
So,
well, let's give a shout out real quick to Robert Miller & Son for being the partner for this show. Upgrade your living room furniture with a furniture that is built to last. At Robert Miller & Son, we understand your ever-changing lifestyle, and our collection of Lazy Boy sectionals are designed to keep up with it. Whether you're moving homes, expanding your family, or hosting a party, our sectionals can be arranged to suit the occasion. Visit our store at 1540 East Boulevard, Suite A in Kokomo, or call us at 765-450-7254 for more information. So shout out to Robert Miller & Son for being the partner of this show. So what's going on at City Hall this week?
This week, still meetings lined up with housing developers, potential housing developers. So development department is keeping us busy with that, lining those up. And as those developers come in, we politely tell them that or inform them, encourage them to pick a housing style and find a piece of ground and throw something up.
Build a house. How many specific developers has the city spoken to at this point? Like housing developers?
A couple dozen.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, and a lot of, timing is an issue, financing is an issue, what they've got going in other areas and such. I mean, so there's definitely some interest.
Sure.
Nothing definite yet, but outside of definite interest, they see what's going on up here. They see the need. They see the opportunity. And so if we can continue to work with them to make something happen, that would be great.
Gotcha.
So
that's cool. That's big news.
Yeah. And Wednesday is... the Kokomo Police Department is doing their Fallen Officer Memorial Day event at 1:00 in the afternoon, and a little addition this year. Chief Stout is going back to presenting merit awards to officers and non-sworn staff as well, recognizing them for their efforts. So that'll be a nice addition to the memorial service this year. So looking forward to that as well. Kudos to our first responders, both police and fire.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Well, the biggest story I saw last week that I wanted to talk about is about a big old building downtown. The Firestone building is set to be officially demolished downtown.
Finally.
It looks like Fortune Companies is going to be handling the demolishing. Tell us about that, because that building, so it's had some up and downs the last probably decade.
Yes, it has.
I remember there was a developer in town. I don't even want to say his name to give him attention, but there's a developer in town that took over the building, got it really cheap, bought it from the city, had all these big dreams for the building.
Bought from the city.
Yeah. Had all these big dreams for it, and the building just kept having more and more and more and more issues that were putting Band-Aids maybe on to fix them, but never fully got fixed. A few people are in that building, or have been in that building. I was telling you before, randomly on my flight last night, I actually sat next to Vice President Mike Pence, which the last time I saw him in person
in Kokomo.
he was in Kokomo at the building announcement. Well, yeah, there's a ribbon cutting for the building, and like a new some software company was moving in, and they're not there anymore.
I don't think they ever went in.
They were there for a minute because I saw them
Okay.
there. I saw
So
they had desks, but the building's had a bunch of issues. But what are we thinking now? So it's officially being demolished, and I'm guessing Fortune Companies also owns the land that it will be on, and then they'll be working with the city on trying to find out what the best use of that land will be.
Correct. Yes, and so we've even had conversation with the county, but just to see what that looks like. I mean, at one point, back when I was commissioner, before the city had given the building to that developer, it was our intent to demolish it, then create a little. A courtyard area, maybe even some green space, some additional parking that we could also make available, that the library could utilize as well. Just to kind of make a complex there, was denied the demolition permit, and so as you mentioned, it took us through what was done since then. But so now, yes, it is coming down and in its place. I mean, there was still talk of maybe a courtyard type of area, some additional parking that might accommodate the county admin building and or library. But with the housing needs that we have, it's my understanding that we may consider, or that Mr. Pitcher may consider putting a housing facility there, because he currently has the Tribune building across the way that he is also looking at developing some additional housing downtown. So still up in the air, but that's the thought. I mean, there's the two ideas. Originally, the courtyard type of green space, the plaza look, if you will, centered around county government, or the availability of additional housing with a lot of the amenities that have been coming to the downtown area. So.
Mr. Downtown, that's Scott Pitcher.
That he is.
So he owns the old Tribune building, getting ready to own the land of the Firestone building. He just got finished with the Macy apartments, which is the old YMCA. And then he also just built those apartments across from what used to be the YWCA. Who is in there now?
Yeah, the Superior Street. Gilead House.
Gilead House.
Yes.
Yeah.
Built those.
The old City Venture One
those
building.
college
where the
apartments
Hobson is.
College
as well.
It's building a lot of apartments. And I'll tell you what, I've known Scott for a while now, and I know I saw some comments online like, oh, why are they demolishing it? Save the building or fix it. If Scott Pitcher is choosing to demolish something, it needs to be demolished. He is the king of restoration and still finding gold in a pile of rubble. That is what he does unbelievably best, and what he's done for Kokomo for a long time. I mean, probably every building on the square could have been demolished at one point, and Scott has had this giant career of fixing it and making those things happen. So trust me, folks, if Scott Pitcher owns this building and is deciding not to demolish it, there's no hope in the building, which is sad, because it is a very historic Kokomo building. Yeah. And it's been like an emotional roller coaster over the last decade of like, oh, what's it going to be? What can it be? Oh, I hear it's bad. Oh, they're going to save it. I get that. But if Scott is choosing to demolish it, it needs to be demolished.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Kokomo is very fortunate that Scott has done development downtown as he has.
He is Mr. Downtown, man. And I hope his legacy is talked about for a long time in Kokomo, because what he's done for downtown, as well as other people. I mean, that guy's got books and books on like success stories of how he's helped local businesses get to where they are and help them build like a place to be. And He's a good guy. Good guy. He's done a lot of really great things
Not
for
just in
Kokomo.
Kokomo,
And
so.
yeah, it's true. He's all over the place.
Yeah.
He's found a niche of Mexican restaurants that he has built all over the country now. So he's done a lot of good work. And he's also a guy, he cares about Kokomo. Like
Right.
he cares
Yeah.
deeply about trying to make it as beautiful as it can be and better as it can be.
He could have easily taken those talents elsewhere.
100%. He's a
Loves
Tri-Central
our
kid.
community.
Yeah.
Went to high school with my mom, actually.
Yep.
There you go.
And funny Scott's story that my mom was telling me, Scott's first car in high school was a hearse.
That
did
is
not know
true.
that.
Drove a hearse.
It was a hearse, and he used to wrestle. He was
Yeah.
a wrestler in high school.
Fascinating. I'm telling you,
Didn't know it.
he's a deep guy.
We talked about this the other day, that there are a handful of people. I mean, there are lots of people who have contributed to Kokomo's growth, but there are a handful of people who I think sometimes don't necessarily get the glory or the accolades.
Yeah.
I think maybe Scott sometimes falls into that of like not seeing his fingerprints on, Kokomo revitalization. Maybe people do. I don't know. I guess.
I mean, just look at like the
but this-
townhomes
yeah.
right here, like
Yeah.
right by our office. That was nothing. The building we're in right now.
Oh, yeah.
Was nothing. That was
Yeah.
something Scott developed and created.
Yeah.
And he has this way of creating a building that just you make it looks like it's been there forever.
Yeah.
Like it, you know what I mean? And those townhomes are the same way. They look like
yeah.
they could have
I mean,
been
think
in
of what he
forever.
created where the Barco building, was it the Barco building?
Barco building, yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Which that
I don't know.
Retail and
got
condos there,
demolished. They talked about that being a green space for a bit too.
Yep.
Similar to what the Firestone conversation was. But
Yeah, just that idea of like legacy and like what do we leave our communities with is we talk about it all the time internally. But we had a great conversation, unrelated, but Susan Alexander, I think another human who is really gifted Kokomo with a legacy.
hustles her butt off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to like, I don't know. Maybe there's something that we create that like sort of shines a spotlight on like, there are a lot of, I think, unsung heroes who have really dedicated a lot of their lives to improving Kokomo.
Yeah.
And again, respectfully, I think people like in elected office, often sort of get the I don't want to say the credit, but just get the light shined on the work they've done, which is great. And also there's folks who are toiling away in their own small ways to change this place, and
Takes a
Scott's
village.
one of them.
Yeah.
There's lots.
The name that always pops in my head, and I didn't know her long, but as I was getting in, I was like becoming
I know
an
where you're
adult, became an adult, got involved in Kokomo, started my business. I was like on the opening committee that started First Fridays way back in the day, and there was this lady by the name of Beth Notaro.
Yep.
That
Notaro.
I want to be Beth when I grow up. She is just the sweetest, but also like such a savage. She got stuff done.
Yeah.
Type of person, and she was an artist all at the same time. There's a bee statue. If you look on the north end of North Buckeye, right by Sun King, look up near the end of that little pocket park at the end with everything, and there's this little statue of a bee, and that was her nickname, was Bee. And miss that lady, but like she fits that bill.
Well, I remember sitting in one of those very initial First Friday meetings, because you and I were both on that committee. And there was a lot of like, well, how do we plan it? When do we launch it? Should it be from 6 months from now? Is this really going to work? Do we think people will come out? It might be too cold. And Beth sort of said, well, I don't know, but Art Association is going to be, I think it was Art Association was what she's like, we'll be open this Friday. I mean, it was wild. It was so wild. And like somebody else, I think maybe Sandra at the time from Main Street Cafe said, me too. And someone, I think from Lux Boutique, there were a few people who were early adopters, and she was leading the charge. And like, look at what First Friday grew to be, because she it was sort of this like beautiful mix of like bullheadedness and optimism. It was so
and creativity.
cool.
Like she was an artist, and loved
It was
her.
so great.
But she'd be on that list of people too.
Oh my gosh, totally. So
Cool.
Okay, got it. So let's get into the Ask the Mayor segment. We've got some questions popping up. Partner with Lexi's Drink Barn, the place to go. I had, like I said, I was gone all last week, and I had my drink today.
Withdrawal?
Felt good. To get my Coke Zero back with sugar-free vanilla. So go check out Lexi's Drink Barn. They got 2 locations in Kokomo, one on Markland, one on North Washington. Check them out. Tell them we sent you. Love those people over there at Lexi's. All right, so let's get into it. The first question we have is from Shirley on Facebook. Why do you leave potholes on the same road that you are filling them? 1/3 is left and all the bad ones. Shirley on Facebook. So apparently she's seeing roads where some have been filled in and some aren't.
Yeah.
A lot of pothole questions. Tis the season for this today. So
could be a size matters thing. I mean, that because the limit the patch that they have to fill, address the more troublesome ones than others, or I don't know. I mean, I can check with the street department. I mean, I'd like to think that they're going to hit all that are available, or not able, but all are that are evident on a certain stretch. But I know in order to make the patch go a little further, I mean, depending on the severity of it, they may skip some that probably aren't as wide, deep, but whatever. So,
Gotcha.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll have to ask them.
Well, we're going to have a lot of pothole questions and street questions today because, like I said, tis the season for this, folks. It's the changing of the weather, and this is just what naturally happens. So we're going to talk about that a lot today. The next question is from Linda on Facebook. Could we please have a walking path or a sidewalk down Berkeley between Markland and Sycamore?
It's coming.
There you go.
There you go.
You ask and you shall receive.
So one of the projects is, so the city and county are partnered on the Kokomo Howard County Governmental Coordinating Council that receives funding to do street and bridge projects. And the one, I think it's being designed and let this year for construction next year, is a reconstruction of Berkeley between Markland and Sycamore that will include a sidewalk. So that's been on everybody's mind for a little while, but a lot of it, again, we've kind of talked about this before when we talk about sidewalks, because there's not a dedicated right of way. There's the efforts that need to be taken to gain access or permission to put development on private property. So
because that's what we, like I said, we talked about this with sidewalks. We've talked about this with trolley stations too, and coverings too.
Yep.
At that point, you're talking about putting a new thing on someone's improvement or covering for the trolleys on someone's private property. And like the city, I mean, you guys would come at the city if they were just doing this and called eminent domain or, or something like that too. So it's tough. You got to get the property owner to agree to it. We've talked about something similar to Cone Palace. People talk about like the turn into Cone Palace because that's private property. That is not city owned property. So it's more of a process to get that finished.
So it's
not impossible, I'll say. Like some property owners, they're about it. They're okay, and they can move on. But yeah, so good question, Linda. There you go. Yep. Asking you shall receive. All right, here's another one. Bob on Facebook. When is the city going to do something about the horrible condition our streets are in? Not blaming this administration. The problem was the former administration. But now it's on this administration to fix the problem of the past 7 exclamation points. Bob on Facebook.
Yep.
I want to say this, too. So I was in New Orleans last week. Guys, we have no room to complain about streets. If you have ever been to the French Quarter in New Orleans, I talked to a Uber driver. He says, I have to spend $25,000 a year on my suspension for driving on the streets. $25,000 a year in his car. Now, he obviously drives a lot. He drives for a living. He's cutting his car all the time. Dear me, our streets are the streets of gold compared to what I've walked on and drove on the last week. But anyway, go ahead.
So it's a priority and resource situation. So with the limited amount of resources as well as timing, a lot of the resurfacing we do ourselves, in-house, and that involves typically milling up sections as well. So and I think we've mentioned this before as well. We get summer seasonals that come in and they do an assessment of the street and grade each of them. And then based on that, then we set projects up. And a lot of those street repavement projects are kind of 2 years in the making because you plan, budget, try to get funding either federally or state to cover those. So we're in the process of doing so. There's a list a proposed list put together. So our street department, and this doesn't include EMB paving, any of the work that they may be contracted to do, but Mr. Van Adder and his crews hope to lay about 7,700 tons of asphalt on streets. But on top of that, so these additional ones don't include the 7,700 tons. We're also finally and intentionally hitting some of the alleyways in the north and northeast side of town, where a lot of the trash trucks have beat those alleyways up to holy heck. So
It's a
We're going to
process.
be busy. So pray that Mother Nature cooperates, as well as the asphalt plant keeps that asphalt flowing, and we'll do what we can to knock out as much as we can. They've already done a few stretches, and some of it also will depend on if there's additional curb or sidewalk work or repairs that are being done in some of the areas. So getting to them. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question, which is kind of a question. It's more of just a demand, maybe.
Okay.
Tina on Facebook, give the highlights of what you have accomplished during your term in office.
Okay. So
Now, Tina says.
Well, fortunately, and if things work out, because dealing with the academy, we have the potential by year's end to reach 100 Kokomo police officers. What will still may end up losing, 5 or 6 by the end of the year, but still to hover around 95 at this point is a great accomplishment, and kudos to the men and women who have stepped forward and wanted to join the Kokomo Police Department, especially during the first couple of years when there was still a lot of social unrest and the fallout from the pandemic and such. So kudos to them for wanting to come to Kokomo. So to go from 78 to be topping or finishing up between 95 and 100 police officers has helped considerably. We're more proactive versus reactive in a lot of situations. With the firefighters, the same way. I know everybody's patiently waiting to see if we get into position to staff an ambulance, which we can if we still gain about 7 or 8 more bodies. But to be sitting at around 94 firefighters now, when we were low 80s to begin with, because it's almost like a revolving door. We bring some in and then we lose 4 to 6 a year just because of the aging out of a lot of those. So the focus on first responders, both of those departments, being intentional on securing and purchasing ground for an industrial park that we thought maybe we'd be able to fill in 3 to 5 years, but that eventually, finally being the site of this $2.5 billion investment. Obviously, I'm not taking credit at all for landing that myself. I mean, I was fortunate to be part of a team that was, the city, Alliance, State Economic Development Corp, even the county, to again secure the additional ground. I mean, so but being intentional on finally moving forward on ground for a dedicated industrial park definitely paid off. I think just still being able to show the amount of streets that we've repaired and been able to lay has been great as well. So I think those are
some pretty good highlights.
Yep. Some additional amenities. I mean, moving forward on reconstructing Center Road along with the walking path that's now under construction now. The pump track on North Side being more intentional on using some of our neighborhood parks now for amenities, since all the kids are playing out at Championship Park. But yeah, completing Championship Park as well, moving forward with that. So
hopefully in a few months we can say breaking ground of a hotel and convention center.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, please.
All right. Next question is from Brianna on Facebook. Are electric scooters available for rental at Kokogo? I've been seeing them around downtown a lot lately.
No, they are not. There are no free scooter rentals or even scooter rentals to begin with. A lot of those are privately owned by the individuals.
Just taking advantage of the trails.
Riding them. Yep.
Nice.
So.
Next question is from Chris on Facebook. Is there any way to get a turn arrow on the corner of Washington and Park? It's hard to turn left at that intersection.
So I would turning left. Okay. So if you're heading northbound on Washington, right? Yeah, and then turning left onto Park.
Yes, correct.
Okay. We can look into that. I mean, something that we can take before the traffic commission. I mean, that would make sense now that Park's open, and especially as we look into the summer months. But a lot of times too, and I'd have to verify this. I was told because there was also a request for consideration for a turn arrow at Berkeley and Boulevard. There by the high school when buses get caught up in the morning and such, that it's kind of an all or none. I mean, if you have turn arrows, they got to be available in both directions. So having a left turn arrow there at Washington and Park means there might need to be one to allow people to turn into Silver Birch, which if that traffic's waiting anyhow, but it's not. So, but long answer short, yes, I'll look into it.
Just potholes solve everything. Roundabouts solve everything. That's my full point of view. Next question is
you heard it here, guys.
Potholes solve everything.
A big fan of pothole.
Yep.
I love them. Rex on Facebook, and the question on everyone's mind: potholes.
Hey, they solve everything. I heard
Everything. Rex.
That's what they've been saying.
Is your question is like, how can they be so great? Do they solve every problem the world needs?
So, or why aren't we addressing more of them?
Maybe, I don't know. I told you we're talking about, I warned you. We're a lot of pothole conversations today. So talk maybe like the pothole hotline, you know what I mean?
Pothole hotline still open. And part of it too, since now that we're into paving season, a lot of the crews that would drive the carts with a patch in it, are now working on paving or there's still those that are picking up a handful of limbs, which we may not do a lot more of now that we're into paving season, because a lot of those crews too, again, are working on those jobs as opposed to being available to pick up limbs. Again, we try to catch them all. We should be able to see them all. We don't always. So if they see some that need addressed that are really wreaking havoc, call the pothole hotline.
Let us know.
And that number is 456-7454. Again, 456-7454. Write it down, folks. Or
save it
you
into your
can
phone.
email street@cityofkokomo.org.
Perfect.
Or you can tweet at City of Kokomo. Or on Facebook at facebook.com/City of Kokomo.
Or do my favorite thing I've ever seen done with a pothole. Get some potting soil, fill it with the soil, and then plant a flower in the middle of the pothole. Oh, it's a gorgeous thing.
Don't do that.
Just kidding. I guess don't do that.
That's a no.
That would make your job harder, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, yeah.
That's not bad. It'd be pretty, though. All right. Next question is from Chris on Facebook. Are the railroad tracks ever going to be taken out at Hoffer and Home Avenue? They are very bad.
No, because that's an active line. Even though it's not used, it's still considered an active line, but we have been given permission to pave over it. So here in the next week and a half, that railroad crossing will be paved over and smooth.
Love that.
Heard it here first.
Question today, like something's already in motion.
First.
You'll love to see it. There you go, Chris.
Cool.
Keep asking questions. Yep.
I think May 21st or 22nd, I think, is the
Remind me again, why don't they consider it an inactive line if clearly you're paving over it and it is unusable?
Because they can.
Yeah, because there may be a chance that they would reactivate or use that line. So they don't mind if you pave over it, but just do so with the knowledge that if they need that line, we'll have to pay them.
You might need to crack it open with
they run the world
some
to
archaeology shovels.
They run the world. Railroad companies, they still run the world.
It really is a game of Monopoly.
100%. Man. There's always money in the railroad.
Yep.
No, that's a banana stand.
Oh, you're right. Next question is from Taylor on Facebook. What is the possibility of a splash pad at Jackson Morrow Park?
It's under design. So the possibility is very likely.
Today.
It may not be because we've got to get water down to that area first. And so we're designing the water lines because we'd like to put bathrooms in first. So the setup will be similar to Berryman Park up on North Main Street. Mm-hmm. So with the bathroom facility and then the splash pad next to it. And it's planned for there next to the basketball courts and sand volleyball courts.
So fun.
This is nuts. Guys, You get your money's worth today.
I'm telling you.
All right. Next question. We got a lot of them today, too. Next question from Dina on Facebook. I live out east of town off Sycamore. I love the Wildcat Creek and all the wildlife there. In years past, we could kayak from the dam west towards town. Unfortunately, no one is maintaining the creek out between 400 and 300 east. Who should be responsible? Please throw your weight behind upkeep of the creek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please throw your weight behind.
Yes.
What's that mean?
So
Your
any
support.
any
Okay.
weight or support.
See, I thought it was a type of throw your waste. I thought people were throwing waste into the creek. So,
No.
Got it.
Please support creek cleanup.
There it is.
I think
Yes.
we should say.
There you go.
So Department of National Resources, or DNR, is in charge of the waterways. And so, yes, we could probably make a phone call or email or two to them to see what the possibility is for cleanup, since they are in charge of the waterways. And if we would go in and kind of do anything without their knowledge or their permission, it could potentially be construed as redirecting a natural waterway, and we would get our hands slapped. But we will definitely... I felt that.
Hand.
Oh, I
Yeah.
don't know what I thought that was, but I was concerned.
There was a bug. It's fine.
So yes, I will be happy to either throw my weight or our park superintendent's weight around. I'm not calling Tori fat, but we will definitely see if we can reach out to DNR and give them some love.
Gotcha. I don't think Tori was thinking that. I think you were fine.
it is.
It's, better safe than sorry.
Right.
Okay, gotcha. Next question is from Sheila on Facebook, watching over on the Kokomo Post Sports. Hey. What's going on at Park in Markland? And then the same thing for something big being built north of town by 31. A hotel, she asks?
So, okay. So, Markland and Park is the next phase of the last phase, the next step of the last phase of the 20-year long-range control plan of separating our sanitary sewers and stormwater systems. And so the facility that will be built just east of the main plant that will be receiving more of the material, the section there under Markland Avenue, where it is now closed, is the first section of the pipe that's being laid that will then connect and eventually receive more of the waste that comes this direction. Okay. So that's what's going on there. But
is she talking about the battery plant, maybe?
I don't know. There's on north.
She said north of town by 31.
North of town by 31. So, yeah, so there's a battery plant going on up there. So no hotels up there yet. Now, as part of there may be some development for multifamily and commercial retail, housing for some of the workers that may be employed by the battery plant or some of the suppliers there, just so they're in close proximity to work. Especially those Korean nationals that may be in the 2-year work cycle that are encouraged not to own property but to rent. And so that may be coming. But, that's probably the battery plant's the only one that I can think of that far north off of 31.
Which, Sheila, if that's what you're referring to, boy, do we have a story for you if you didn't know about the battery plant. Kind of a pretty big thing going on. Okay, yeah. Last question I'm seeing. If another one pops up, I'll get to it. It's from Taylor on Facebook. Let's end on a positive note. What are some other exciting city updates coming this year?
Ooh.
Taylor wants the tea.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Are you not entertained with everything else we've talked about?
I'm trying to think. We've already announced the summer concert series. Kokomo Beach opens this weekend.
Nice.
Hopefully a few announcements for other development downtown. We talked briefly about the Firestone building.
It was the worst tease ever.
Well, it might be the
couple
hotel
announcements.
convention center.
Couple announcements downtown.
Hopefully another maybe supplier or two up near the battery plant.
Were you talking about the hotel and convention center, or are you talking about something else?
Something else.
Oh, my God.
On
Taylor,
a smaller,
how was that non-answer to your question?
On a smaller scale, but something that could be fun and entertaining. There's, and I don't know if this will, there's some folks that are interested in potentially developing a skating rink. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh my goodness.
There goes half our show.
Seriously.
People just asking where the skating rink.
Carl Wilt.
Oh, don't bring up Carl.
He wanted to know when there's a skating rink that's going to be here. And so I have remembered that question for a year. And so, Carl, if you are watching.
We got to find Carl.
There's people that are intentional that they may
I'll get back on his good side.
Be interested.
Yeah. Honestly, the number of times that I hear a call for a skating rink, it's a shocking amount. We have a blog that we love called Kokomo So Boring, because Kokomo is so boring. All we could find was 250 things you could do with your family at any given time. And so we put all of those few events together into a blog called Kokomo So Boring. And which is hilarious.
The comments are really funny. Have you ever seen the comments on when we post that?
No. It's funny.
Some people it's the whole tell me you didn't read the article without telling me you didn't read the articles, because they're like, Kokomo is not boring, maybe you're boring. And I'm like, please just click the link, everything will be okay. Like, what did some lady, she took screenshots of some of our posts that said what's going on and was using them for evidence on why, but didn't realize who she was talking about.
Your own.
Yes, like our logo on the graphics. She's like, see, here's some stuff going on, maybe you're boring. I'm like, those are our graphics, lady.
Yeah, lady. But the number of people who maybe don't read that article and then say, like, do you know what we really do need? A skating rink. I mean, it's shocking how many times that comes up. So, but I will say, I would love to learn to skating, and that'd be so fun.
Nice.
So great.
Man.
Yeah, that seems to be hot. Skating rink and pickleball courts.
Yep, skating rink, pickleball courts, some kind of indoor amusement park. I hear
like a year-round thing.
Yeah, and
I've not been over to Lafayette to see that.
I will say this:
Jungle Gyms or something was.
Yeah, it's over at the Tippecanoe Mall.
Yeah,
by the good pizza that I like.
Yeah.
I will say this: I went this weekend to a barcade, and
always fun.
Arcade plus bar. I would say,
Did they have?
Who doesn't want to play pinball while also sipping a delicious adult beverage? It's so fun.
Vintage pinball and arcade games.
Yeah, they had, like, the pinball was quarters,
sourcing
and then
all the games.
The rest of it was all just free play, and it was so fun. Pac-Man, Galaga.
It's all free play.
Yeah,
besides pinball.
Besides the pinball, yeah, you go in and it's just like just go play.
Yeah, and some people have you pay
Space
a cover
Invaders,
and it's free play, or if you buy a drink, different barcades do it different ways. Yeah. Some have like just classic tokens, type of thing. Yeah.
I love an arcade so much.
What was the one we played in Indy? We went to
Tappers.
Tappers.
This one was 16-bit. Oh, it was so fun.
Tap, and then tap.
Yep, get it?
Beer tap, tap the games.
I've got a location that might.
I'm not gonna lie. I feel joy in my heart just talking about an arcade. I've
thought about it for a long time, actually. I love exactly where you're talking about.
Yeah, we're all thinking in the same spot. Yeah, I know we are.
It's just hard. That's a hard business start because sourcing the games is tough.
Yeah,
sure.
Like especially as time goes on.
Got to talk to our friends at Scanlines Arcade, which just moved down to City of First Adventure Park. So two businesses partnering up.
They moved together, or they just
they moved together.
So they're not in their old.
So they're not in their old building. They partnered with City of First Adventure Park. So the go-kart track owns the go-kart part, and Scanlines Arcade owns the arcade part.
Smart.
And so it's like two businesses coming together to do good work
too. Yeah. Like some of Scanline stuff is at the bowling alley.
I know. I find it wonderful. Smart. Like when I see two businesses working together.
I think I know him.
So cool.
He's a good guy. We did a video with him a while back. Bree and I
there's a couple owners in that business, but
the one we met
smart
was really
guys
great.
and like Kokomo want to give kids something to do. I love it.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, it's cool. All right. Well, those are the questions. I will say Taylor Monroe, she said the splash pad was the big exciting thing for her, which I will say Jackson Morrow is Jackson Morrow is what we were talking about. Perfect park for a splash pad. Bunch of big green room space out there. And that'd be cool out there.
The new lights along the trail are almost done.
Nice. Yes.
Very cool.
So cool, Taylor, hopefully that was a non-answer to your question, but definitely a tease to keep watching the show.
Oh, yeah. Well,
we'll just keep trying to eke some information out of you.
She or he, I'm not sure. Whoever's the profile picture is the actual Taylor. I'm not sure, but yeah, you're on here. You ask questions. Thank you for that.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for watching this episode of the Mayor Tyler Moore Show. Partner with Robert Miller and Son Furniture. Thank you for all the questions today. You guys were killing the chat. Appreciate that. Hopefully I got all of them. If I didn't, I will go I will go back later and make sure I ask those questions next week. I had a few of those from this week. So yeah, keep asking. We always put out a post on Monday morning as well, asking for questions. So you guys have a shot. One day a week, you can get with this guy for about an hour. We do the show, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, depending how many questions there are.
And thank you to everybody for being flexible, because sometimes I get over here a little later than I need to.
What, do you got something going on, like running a city?
Yeah, something like that.
Weird.
Yeah. All right. Well, do you have a dad joke for us?
Well, a quick little shout out to my mom. Happy belated Mother's Day as well. And I'm very sorry that the cake I baked was like hard, like too hard to eat.
Oh, you're not a good baker, huh?
No, it was a marble cake.
I never know when you tell these jokes if like they're thought about beforehand or how many you just come up with. Because when I say, do you have a dad joke? Your response is like, oh, yeah. And I never know if like you just made that up on the spot or like this morning you were like, no, that'd be a good one.
That'd be a good one.
Anyway. Okay.
Marbles.
Happy Mother's Day to Mama Moore. Maybe you're watching. All right. Thanks for watching. Like I said, we'll do the show every week. You get a chance to ask this guy anything, learn about what's going on at City Hall. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
See you, Kokomo.